Murder, Love, Revolution. Darmstadt, 1847. Countess Emily von Görlitz dies in a fire in her abode. As the police and justice suspect it was an accident, public opinion suspects her husband killed her. Shortly afterward, servant Johann gets arrested and faces the death penalty. His beloved Christina is convinced he is innocent. However, however becomes the subject of scrutiny as the murderer's lover. And then a revolution happens, and the world turns upside down. Christina seeks out an opportunity for Johann and decides to ally herself with the radical Democrat, Paul. But is this man to be trusted? Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. For today's video, given that next week, as of the time of this video's publication, my home city is going to host a fair slash carnival slash public party, whatever you want to call it. I thought I would look into a piece of fiction that represents the city more or less, and to that end, I have chosen The Darmstadt Murderer's Lover, written by Ella Theis. This is not the first book that I've read and reviewed for this channel, which is about my home city. And it's not even the only one this year, if you'll recall. It is, however, noteworthy in that it is perhaps the first historical fiction piece, or fiction piece in general, that I've read about the city, and where the city itself actually becomes a linchpin for all the things that are going on. Anyway, aside from my personal connection to the setting of this book, what else can be said about it? Well, the TLDW for this review is this book represents an intriguing insight into the life of commoners in in what is currently Germany during the mid 19th century. The author has a clear perspective on, has a clear insight and understanding of characterization and perspective, and knows just how to frame the larger events surrounding the characters and integrate them within their development. If you are a historical fiction enthusiast and can read German, then it is very likely that you will, in fact, enjoy this book. And in fact, here, I'm going to give you a little close-up. It's mirrored, but you should still, you should still get the gist of it. Anyway, now that I'm done with, I'm not done yet with the generic information. I still have to give some content warnings. Light ones this time for let's see, for what? Misogyny, homophobia, and anti-Semitism. Yeah, 19th century. What were you expecting? A little bit disdain for the poor as well, if that is something that troubles you particularly as well. And now that I'm officially done with the generic information, it's time I delve into the specifics. The plot of the book follows Christina, a maid and a kitchen hand who is engaged to a servant within the household of Count von Görlitz, namely Johann. Johann is the servant, not the count. I actually forgot the count's name. Never mind. A fire breaks out in the Görlitz household, one which ends up killing the lady of the house, and several months after it occurred, the deed itself ends up getting pinned on Johann. Christina, however, is convinced he is innocent and sets out to at least try to get him out of prison, even though the world around her ends up going through a substantial change. For those of you who are historical sticklers, the inciting incident of this book did actually occur, and a lot of the characters within this book are actually well-documented historical figures. They might not be world-renowned, but they are at least locally known, if I may say so myself. Everything about this book, however, particularly insofar as the main plot, as pertains to the intersection of the main plot to the historical events that occur within it, is, as far as I can tell, pure fiction. Nevertheless, the author still strives for an atmosphere of authenticity and relatability. And in doing so, she gives her book a very distinctive, almost picturesque character, filling it with figures that are both dynamic and vibrant, as well as allowing the setting to showcase its facets. Going to the cast of characters, each of them are very well fleshed out. They all receive plenty of development, sufficient to allow them to stand out even amongst themselves, and allowing all of them to not just declare but also showcase what it is about each of them that makes them distinctive. When it comes to development, however, it is really only Christina that gets a definitive character arc. However, various other characters do in fact get a change within their interests and drives as they react to how the world itself opens up or closes various opportunities for them. Nevertheless, the point where this book truly shines is in how it portrays its setting. The author has clearly made a substantial effort when it comes to reconstructing the way the city would have looked like at the time of this, at the time of the book's events, and in figuring out how the locations that are relevant locations within the city would in fact be connected, and how that ends up influencing the maybe not the historical events themselves, but how the characters interact with these events. And that level of care and attention isn't just limited to the city. Whenever the characters venture outside of Darmstadt into the surrounding countryside, and a new location is therefore not just countryside, to be honest, and whenever they venture out of the city, period. When they wherever they arrive, all the locations where they arrive are given quite a bit of description as well. Every location that is introduced is brought within the narrative loom, and therefore and that allows the stakes and dimension of the plot and of the social developments within the setting to become that much more clear, that much more precise, that much more gritty, crunchy, without making the book itself become overladen. This is very much the story about a world that is changing, and how exactly that change manifests, which I have to say, the author has handled brilliantly. If there is one aspect of the book where I think it could be improved, that aspect would be plotting. By that I mean that while the main plot is overall quite strong, a lot of side characters get tossed to the wayside as their developments end up being ignored. I won't blame the author too much for it, because she is using she's using a lot of historical events as reference points for the plot. However, instead of allowing the plot to surround them and take a greater level of emphasis and interconnectivity from them, it instead kind of just bounces from point to point, and doesn't really, and without really exploring anything, without really exploring some of the setups that the beginning of this book portrays. I think it would have really benefited from allowing the side characters who are bourgeois or well off to to more effectively look into to more effectively have their opportunities, their possibilities, and their worldviews altered or challenged by the by the events around them, in order for them to really have that development, in order to allow the plot to more effectively showcase the meaning of all the events the characters are going through. As such, it kind of pays lip service to these side characters, while ultimately giving Christina and another lead I haven't mentioned yet, but the synopsis does, the bulk of the attention. Still, it is a very well done bulk, if I may say so myself. Overall, despite of some inconsistencies and more precisely missed opportunities, this book still represents an immersive and insightful outlook into a very tumultuous segment of the region's past. My final rating for The Darmstadt Murderer's Lover is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the book itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and The Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective master links in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. Additionally, you have the option of supporting me on Patreon, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you'll receive various perks, the specifics of which I'll allow you to discover for yourselves. I also have a second channel where I talk about whatever else crosses my mind. So if you want to hear me talk about things that aren't related to books or literature, that's where you can find me. If, however, you want to hear more of me talking about books and literature, well then I suggest you stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog of book reviews, writing advice, and lore videos. If none of those interest you, then you can go ahead and do whatever you want with the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been The Heir's Lair.